Hello and welcome to Quality Health Finder. I'm Lorraine, and today I'm joined by Sandra Woolcock, a podiatrist with more than 25 years of experience who specialises in diabetic foot care. If you have diabetes or you care for someone who does, today's conversation is all about the simple ways to look after your feet, recognise potential early warning signs, and know when to seek help. Sandra, thank you for joining me.
Hey Lorraine, thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's start with a question many people ask. What are the early warning signs of diabetes that people should never ignore?
So diabetes affects many organs. So with the feet, the two main things that it affects is the blood circulation and also the sensation in your feet. So these are the two things that are crucial to actually helping you to look after your feet. So if your blood sugar levels are high, if it's not well controlled, then what it's going to do is actually going to damage the artery walls, and it's going to damage the nerves of your feet. So what can be a small problem, like you may tread on something, say a clip or a nail or a little hairpin or something, and not realize until you notice like a bit of blood or discharge or even pain or redness and swelling. So these two things are really important for diabetic feet. And of course, it's important to actually control your diabetes by taking your medication, looking after your diet, exercising, and all these things are really checking your feet every day.
So how often should someone check their feet if they're diabetic?
So if you are a person with diabetes, you need to be checking your feet every single day. It doesn't matter if your diabetes is well controlled or badly controlled. You need to get into this habit of checking your feet every single day. So that involves checking in between the toes, checking the bottom of your feet. If you can't get down to your feet, then you get a friend even to check them. If you can do that. Another thing you can do if you can get down there to check your feet is to use a mirror. I remember one of our lecturers would say to us that if you can sit on your bed and you've got a full-length mirror at the end of your bed, sit on the end of your bed and stick your foot in front of the mirror and have a look at the end foot. Another way of checking your feet is actually by feeling them if you can. So if you've got a hot foot and a colder foot, then that's something that you actually need to act on. So you need to really check your feet every day, because by checking your feet every day, you stop a small problem getting into a bigger problem that is more problematic to manage. Whereas something smaller, we can get it cured and treated easily. So checking is really important. I would even go to say, check them twice a day. And even people who have had diabetes for many years, still, some people, not all, find it difficult to check their feet. You know, they forget to do it, or, oh, it was all right yesterday, and then they check again and they've got something wrong. So it's not just newly diagnosed diabetic persons.
What's one simple thing that I can do every day to protect my feet as well?
So protecting your feet is a broad umbrella, really. You need to be looking after your diabetes, taking your medication on time. If you've got antibiotics to take those as well. Checking your feet comes top. Footwear is top. If you have a dressing on your foot, that if you've been advised to redress your foot or keep the dressing dry, doing all these things, taking care and listening to what your podiatrist or healthcare professional has told you to do. So a simple thing to do, don't go barefooted anywhere. That's really hazardous, because if you have reduced sensation in your feet, then you're actually going to cause a problem and not realize. Walking, if you have poor blood circulation in your feet, continue to exercise as directed by your consultant, your doctor. Footwear, I would say buy shoes in the afternoon when your feet are actually swollen. You want shoes with a good toe box in there, a nice height, plenty of room around the toes. And another thing is you should really have a buckle or a fastening around it. You can get lots of styles these days that actually do that. And that can save you a lot of trouble from rubs, blistering and so on. You shouldn't have to actually wear shoes in.
And the question I have, because many people don't seem to realise the link between sugar and feet. So what is the link between diabetes and feet?
So diabetes affects everything, really. It affects your eyes, it affects your blood circulation, it affects your kidneys by the way of high blood sugar levels, it affects your feet in particular. As a podiatrist, that's a bit I'm concentrating on. It affects your feet because if you imagine at the top where your groin is, your blood circulation, your arteries are actually bigger, But when your arteries start to descend down behind your knees and then into your lower legs and into your ankle and into your feet, those arteries are actually smaller. So if your blood sugar level and diabetes is not controlled well, then those arteries tend to get a bit blocked because the sugars damage the actual walls of the arteries and the little tiny capillaries, and they damage the actual nerves. So that's why you notice with people with diabetes, they start to get problems with their feet. They start to get an ulcer that's not healing. And sometimes they may not even realize that they have diabetes.
I'm going to throw out a couple of truth and myths for you. Truth or myth, if you have diabetes, you shouldn't cut your toenails yourself.
Okay, so that is a bit of a truth and a myth because there are two sides to this. So if you have diabetes, it doesn't mean you can't cut your toenails. If you're going to get your yearly foot checks and your podiatrist is happy with you cutting your toenails, continue. If they're not happy with you continue cutting your toenails, then don't. The reasons are obvious ones. If you can't see your toenails, if you can't reach to bend, to cut, to see them, if you've got a history of poor blood circulation, or you can't feel your feet, then how on earth are you going to be cutting your toenails? You can't feel where you're going and you can't see where you're going. If you've got a history of infection, amputation in your feet, all these things, then you shouldn't be doing it. I can't stress that enough. You can't see them, don't do it. But if you can see your feet, if you can bend to cut them, you're cutting them straight across and it's in agreement with your podiatrist or your GP, I'd say, go ahead.
Okay, great. Is it a good idea to put moisturiser between your toes? Truth or a myth?
I think no. I would say don't put any creams in between your toes. If you imagine our toes are actually close together, they get quite sweaty. They produce a lot of moisture anyway. So you don't need to actually put any creams in between your toes. You do need to moisturise the top of your foot and the bottom. And you can use this exercise to actually check your feet every day because you should be moisturising your feet every single day. So if you moisturize your feet, pay attention not to actually put it in between the toes. The reason is because it makes the skin very soggy. It can tear the skin easily and you break the skin and that's an invitation to infection. And diabetics take a bit longer to heal if they have an infection on their foot. But another thing you should be doing in between your toes to protect the skin, you can use witch hazel or surgical spirit. That actually dries the skin out a bit and protects it as well. But don't put any creams. I mean, if you accidentally put a bit of cream in between there, I'm not trying to scare you. That's fine. Just make sure you dry it out.
Thank you, Sandra. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners?
I would like to say prevention is always better than cure with diabetic feet. You should be checking your feet every day. But if you feel that you have a wound and you notice after a couple of days that it's red and swollen or redness is extending, please, please, please go and see a healthcare professional. See your podiatrist, see your local foot protection team. Don't leave it because prevention is always better than the treatment. Treatment, if you leave things, something that is small can get bigger and the treatment is more lengthy. So you don't want that. Prevention is better than the cure. That is my closing message to you.
Thank you very much for joining me today and thank you for being part of Quality Health Finder. Quality Health Finder is a UK platform designed to help patients find trusted care like Sandra more easily. If you're a UK private practitioner, visit qualityhealthfinder.com to create your professional profile. And you could also be featured on Quality Health Finder podcast. Thank you for watching and we'll see you next time.